Hi, I'm George K. and this is my father Niels. Together, we are Father and Sonthesizers. Last week we mentioned a soldering station that you can build yourself.
This week we are going to show you how our approach to that was.
We wanted to show you how to make a PCB, but needed an example, and we were going to build a new soldering station anyway, so we thought we might as well document the process.
As we mentioned last week, from our website you can download an LT Spice model of the Music from Outer Space VCO. So with this you can run a VCO on your computer without any additional hardware. The LT Spice model contains a short README to tell you how to install the thing and a little library that goes together with the VCO. I hope you can make it run and have a lot of fun with it.
And today we'd like to talk you through how we make a PCB. The first step is having good schematics, sourcing good schematics. For example, you could do this with LT Spice, as we mentioned earlier.
Or you start with your breadboard, try out some things, and when you're satisfied and your schematic is fine, then it's time for KiCad.
KiCad or KiCad is a CAD program that you can use to draw a PCB basically.
What you can do with KiCad is to enter your schematic. After that you can go to the designing phase of the PCB where you have all the parts connected by wires, and now you have to draw the actual copper lines on both sides of the PCB to create the PCB. Now the good thing about KiCad is, first, it's totally free. Second, it has no limitations like comparable software where you only can, in the free version, only can do very small PCB boards. With KiCad you can do as large as you want. And what's also very nice, I like personally almost the best on this program is you have a debug button. If you press it on the schematic, the KiCad will tell you, oh, you forgot a wire there, or this part has no denominator or something like that. If you're on the PCB level itself, there's also another rule checker that tells you, you forgot to connect pin 5 on EC or whatsoever. It helps you to avoid mistakes. On the breadboard, you're all on your own. There's nobody helping you. Now, once you're done with the KiCad program and your layout is fine, then it's time to go from computer to the real world. You do that by using laser printable transparent foils. What I do is I print each side of the PCB twice, because a single sheet of the foil with a toner from the laser printer does not have the contrast you want for photo exposing your PCB.
It might be different on your home printer though.
Yeah,
you'll have to experiment around.
Yeah. So once you have your PCB, both sides, front and back, please remember to print the front side mirrored, the back side not. So once you have your foils, you can use a strip of adhesive tape to glue them together, so that you have a kind of sandwich. The top side foil, the bottom side foil, and in between goes your PCB. That should be covered with a photoresistant.
Yeah, and first you'll have to cut your blank PCB into shape though.
You can buy PCB boards that already have the photoresistant layer on the top and on the back side, but you can also start with blank copper PCBs. They are cheaper, of course, and if you do a mistake, and you will do in the beginning, it doesn't cost a lot of money. So what I use for chemicals is the photoresistant lacquer spray. Once you have your sandwich of transparent foils and your photo lacquer covered PCB board, you need to have a light source to expose each side separately. I usually start with the back side and expose like for 3 minutes, then turn off the light, turn the PCB around and expose the other side. Again, 3 minutes.
And for this, we didn't buy any lights or anything, we built ourselves an LED panel.
I ordered some LED stripes from China and built this little makeshift lamp. After the PCB got exposed, you have to have it developed. There's a chemical you use for that, that's called natrium hydroxide. You can buy that in your local stores as well, or you just use the
stuff you use to clean drains. Drain cleaner, drain unclogger, something like that. I don't know what it's called in English.
No, I don't. It's a lot cheaper and nobody asks you why you buy it. After developing the PCB comes the etching part. The etching is done with another chemical. The chemical is called natrium persulfate. It's a dry powder, you mix it with water, like written on the label here. With a fresh solution, it takes about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour until your PCB is etched properly. Don't throw away the the solution after that, because you can use it like for 10 PCBs or more, depending on the size. This solution you mix, it gets bluer and bluer the more copper it eats away, until finally it's no good anymore, and then you have to dispose of it in the proper channels.
And between those times I would store it in a safe container where no children can get at it and all that. And once it's used up, you can actually let it dry out and it forms these really nice copper crystals.
Oh, copper sulfate.
Copper sulfate.
Yeah, nice blue crystals. In the next step, you have to get rid of the excess photo lacquer. You expose the PCB from both sides again, this time for a longer time or with better light source, like sometimes when the sun is shining like today, I use the sun. 1 minute sun on both sides and the resin is completely exposed. Now you go back to your developing solution, and in there everything gets dissolved and you are left with the PCB only covered with the copper you wanted. After that, it's good practice to have your PCB covered with a protective lacquer layer that is solderable. And there's special chemicals for that as well.
And once you've done that, you basically have the PCB. But if you want to connect any parts, you need to drill the holes in the PCB. We recommend a standing drill, but it's possible to do with a handheld drill as well, just a lot more faff.
Yeah, I usually use a 0.8 millimeter drill for the holes.
And once you're done drilling the PCB, you then have to populate it with all the components, all the ICs, all the resistors, all the transistors, everything. That's when it really comes to life.
A piece of advice: once you have your board populated and you're about to connect the power source, do it without the integrated circuit in their sockets. No ICs, no chips on the PCB for the first time. Because now when you connect the power, first you use your multimeter and you measure all the supply voltages at the chips. Yeah? See if the ground and the VCC are really grounded VCC.
Because if you don't, you will blow up the chips, and in the beginning you will make mistakes, and if you don't measure them, you will blow up the very expensive ICs, and you'll regret that.
I had everything, like a shortcut on the PCB, and my power supply no good. And I switched plus and minus 12 volts. The chips don't like that at all. No, so you learn the hard way, but you follow my advice. Measure first and then put in the chips.
And then, once you've populated the board and all the supply voltages are correct, then comes the fun part, testing everything. For that, an oscilloscope like the one we have is very helpful, but you can do it without as well.
For example, if you want to build your own VCO, you can use an amplifier, the Bluetooth box or whatever, to follow the signal path. If you hear a sound, good. If it gets lost somewhere, you need to take a look why.
And then eventually you will need to build a case for your synthesizer and a faceplate. To build the case, we usually use whatever wood we can get at the hardware store and cut that to size outside in a workshop. We don't need to show you how to do that, everyone. It's basic woodworking.
Then comes another fun part, the faceplate.
Oh yeah, we experimented with that a lot before we found a method that stuck.
In the beginning, when I was designing the faceplate for the Mark II, man, it took me like 3 weeks to come up with a good method for faceplates. I tried everything, like anodizing aluminum, etching aluminum. Nothing really worked to my satisfaction. I even tried the toner transfer method, where you print your design on a piece of paper and then have an iron transferred with the heat from the iron onto the metal. Believe me, it's not worth the effort. So finally I came up with a very simple solution that works fine for us. Again, here comes your laser printer into account. What you do is you buy laser printable adhesive transparent foils. You print on the foil, then cut out the faceplate and the size given by the design, and now you remove the protective layer on the sticky side
and just stick it on the faceplate.
Stick it on a blank piece of aluminum, and then you cut out the aluminum, the faceplate.
And you can get the design using anything from Photoshop to GIMP, and you use Corel Draw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Any basic graphics design software will work, probably even Microsoft Paint.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Word.
Word might actually be better than Microsoft Paint, because you have the measurements there.
Right. The laser adhesive foil itself is not really durable. because the toner will eventually get scratched off. So what we do, we bought ourselves a water-based acrylic lacquer, a spray lacquer. So we spray the faceplate with this water-based acrylic lacquer, one thin coat, let it dry. Depending on the temperatures, it's about a few hours before it's really dry. And then sometimes you do a second thicker layer, and then after that your faceplate is really good protected.
Also, now we have a website, finally, where you can find some of our designs and some schematics and a little thing I wrote up for every project we covered on here.
It's still in the beginning, there's not a lot yet, but things will come.
And thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, and maybe write a comment if there's anything you'd like to tell us, any feedback, any criticism, anything at all.
And let us know if the LT Spice works.
Yes.
If it works, I have tons of more.
So remember,
stay curious.